Hi folks, Wooden Boat Dan here. Just wanted to give you a heads up. The podcast you're about to listen to was recorded several years ago, so some of the phone numbers, email addresses, website links, and time-sensitive information are no longer valid. Please keep that in mind as you listen. If you'd like to contact me, my email address is woodenboatdan@gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Welcome to Hooked on Wooden Boats weekly podcast episode number 93. I'm your host, Dan Matson, aka Wooden Boat Dan. If he can't do it, nobody can, most likely. And this is the world's first podcast, fully 149% dedicated to celebrating the art, craft, history, tradition, and yes, the romance of wooden boats around the world, the universe, and other planets, if they exist. Welcome to the podcast today, folks. This is Hooked on Wooden Boats, where it's all about getting in the wooden boat game. So I'm glad that you're deciding to get in, because if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably getting your toe wet at least. Today's featured segment is an interview with Todd Blankenship and his father, Arlie. Todd and Arlie built a SCAMP sailboat together called Humu, which is the state fish of Hawaii. Had a great interview with them, and I'm going to be playing that here in a few minutes, so stick around. It's going to be a lot of fun. Last week I had the good fortune of hooking up with Val and Julie Vandershagen. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. And they are, actually Julie is building, and I'm sure Val is helping, mainly Julie's project. She's building a SCAMP sailboat. It's SCAMP number 131. Julie and Val live in Mountain Lake Terrace, Washington, which is about 30 minutes or so from where I live, probably 40 minutes. So I was down south in their neck of the woods and swung by their place last week and got to see their SCAMP. Julie's got it planked up. She's got the sole in. She's getting ready to put the cabin top and seat tops and that kind of stuff in. She's doing a great job. She actually has cut all the parts out herself. She didn't buy the kit. So hats off to you, Julie. You're doing an awesome job. Keep up the great work. And I'm looking forward to seeing Rio hit the water, hopefully this year, right? Okay, very cool. As you probably know, I started building my SCAMP sailboat 1st of June approximately. And I did buy the kit. This past week, I continued to work on epoxy coating the parts that I can with 3 coats of epoxy. So when I put them in the boat, put the boat together, a lot of the epoxy work will be done. What I find is it's much easier to epoxy all the parts that you can on a vertical surface in a controlled environment rather than once they're on the boat. Actually, I meant in a horizontal surface. I'm vertical, the planks are horizontal, and the parts, it's just a lot easier that way. So I'm working on that. So far, I've got 26 and a half hours into the build, $3,481. I am tracking the progress of the build in detail on my website. If you go to hookedonwoodenboats.com/scamp, SCAMP, I've got 3 pages there. One where I've got a weekly update on where I'm at in the project with some photos and videos, so I'd like it if you check that out. I've also got a page where I'm keeping track of the exact cost by category and the time spent on the build by category, so you can check that out. And then I've got another page called SCAMP Hacks, where I'm just sharing some of the tips that other folks have recommended for the build and some things I'm learning along the way. So that's pretty cool. So check it out, hookedonwoodenboats.com/scamp. As I've mentioned in previous shows, my plan is to assemble the kit, epoxy, make sure everything is epoxy coated, and sell the boat and let somebody else put on the spars and paint it, do the hardware, sales, all that kind of stuff. So if you have any interest, shoot me an email, dan@hookedonwoodenboats.com. That's the advantage of having a podcast on wooden boats. If you sell wooden boats, you can advertise on your podcast, so that's pretty cool. Okay, we've got some new subscribers to the e-newsletter this week. Todd Grinner, John Myers, Anthony Panetta, Rick Thornton, Ari Rubenstein, and Rob Cavaney. Welcome to the podcast, folks, to the e-newsletter. It's great to have you on board. As I've mentioned before, I do send out a monthly e-newsletter. I'm about a week late this month, but I will get one out this week. So if you haven't subscribed, I'd recommend you go to hookedonwoodenboats.com/subscribe. If you give me your first and last name and your email address, then you'll be on the newsletter list where I share tips, tricks, resources, news at Hooked on Wooden Boats. Also, if I'm going to be at a boat show in the area, I'll send out a quick email saying, hey, let's hook up if you can make it. I know some of you are in other parts of the world or other parts of the United States. I'm on the West Coast and the Northwest, so sometimes you can't make it. But anyway, it's a fun way to connect, so if you can, subscribe to the newsletter. I mentioned this last week, but I'll mention it again, that on June 23rd, I launched the canoe that I've been working on for about a year and 4 months. It's an 11-foot sassafras canoe. I built it from the book called The Canoe Shop. Took me 138 hours, cost about $600. It's a really pretty little boat. We named it Chelan, C-H-E-L-A-N, which is the name of a lake in eastern Washington that we camp at quite a bit. It's a deep water lake. And Chelan is a Native American term for deep water. So if you'd like to see the video of the launch, you can go to hookedonwoodenboats.com/Chelan. Again, that's C-H-E-L-A-N. It's a really fun boat. We're going to do a little paddling this week in eastern Washington, and we go camping, so it should be a great time. So check it out if you get a chance. Okay, without further ado, I wonder where that phrase comes. Without further ado. What is ado anyway? Funny how we say these things that we kind of know what they mean, but we really don't know what they mean or where they came from, I guess. Anyway, I'm not sure what that was all about, but we're going to move on to the interview with Todd and Arlie. They live in Port Townsend, Washington, built a SCAMP together, father-son team. So take it away, guys. Let's roll the tape. Okay, it is May 28th, 2013. I am in Port Townsend, Washington, at the home of Arlie Blankenship. And Arlie and his son Todd are here. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to have you on board. We're having a blast talking SCAMP here. I just picked up my SCAMP kit this morning from Turn Point Design in Port Townsend. And Arlie was kind enough to invite me over to look at his SCAMP that he and Todd built. And Betty was involved too, I understand. And so we thought we'd just have fun today talking about wooden boats and SCAMPs and all that cool stuff. So, Arlie, I understand originally you're from Port Townsend?
We are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if you did any boating here when you were a kid.
My dad had a 12-foot rowboat he made, and we fished for dinner. And that was the beginning of boat life.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you fishing for, salmon?
Well, they used to have something here called black bass. But unfortunately, with the dredging for clams, they've damaged a lot of the locations where the black bass would leave the young. And so it hasn't built back up yet, but mostly salmon.
Really?
Yeah.
Black bass. I had no idea. So that 12-foot boat, what do you remember about that boat? Do you remember?
My dad rowed, and I threw a line out, and didn't even have a pole. He had a bamboo pole. We didn't have much money. He had a bamboo pole and a hand reel, which I still have. It was made around 1900. And I had a stick device that let line out. And the first fish I ever caught was looked like a rock cod. It was red. And as I reeled that into the boat, I decided I did not want that in the boat with me. My dad says, no, that'll make good fish and chips. Yeah. He sure was ugly with big blue eyes.
Really?
And years later, when I was probably about 6 or 7, we went out. It probably was a different boat at this point. And I got a dogfish, which is a shark. And I wanted that thing in the boat. I said, that's not getting in this boat with us.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So, did your dad build any other boats besides that one?
He built two. He built a 12-foot flat bottom, and then he built a semi-V bottom, 14 feet.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time he got that done, I was gone.
I see.
But there's two more brothers younger than I, so they used the boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Had a little 12 or 2 horsepower Lawson. It was quite a motor back in those days. It was air cooled, and it was straight gas. Didn't have to mix oil with the gas.
Really?
Yeah.
So
fact,
does that mean it's a 4-stroke?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and my nephew still has it.
You're kidding.
Yeah. He must have bought it around 1949 or 50.
Wow. That was before the 4-strokes became popular.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So, Todd, then you grew up here in Port Townsend, too, obviously with your dad.
No, actually, he was military, career Navy.
Oh, okay.
So I'm kind of from America. I've been
All over the
everywhere.
place, huh?
So
Yeah.
we pop by and visit in the summer, but grew up California and Hawaii and just a little bit everywhere. Tennessee, yeah.
And did you do some boating, too, growing up?
He and I made our first boat. I was about 18 or so, and we made a little 8-ball, which is kind of an El Toro. And it was a neat period because we were banging heads pretty good. It was you're a teenager, you know everything. So,
right.
but we found common ground in the sailboat, and it was a really neat father-son experience.
Oh, cool!
And we built this sailboat, and we discussed should we take sailing lessons. And we agreed that would probably be a wise decision.
Really?
And sailed out of Hickam Harbor. It was just
Then we got the
That's in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Is that in Hawaii?
In Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then he got the sailing bug bad. We had a Hobie Cat after that and 2 bigger sailboats.
So that was the start of your sailing bug, was the El Toro.
Yeah.
Which is like an 8-foot plywood boat, right?
It was
Or 9?
It was plans from Glen L.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Still have the plans.
But is that like an 8-foot boat with a single sail on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they've got some down at Center for Wooden Boats in Seattle, a bunch of those.
They're just like the El Toro, but the El Toro has very strict rules.
Oh, okay. This was the 8-ball, not the El Toro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
8-ball, you got more latitude. And in fact, we sold it and we made more money than we paid for the darn thing.
Really?
Yeah. And
We hopped into this boat and the water's coming up to the centerboard and we're going out to sea. And you said, we're prepared to tack. And don't tack. Water's coming in. Don't tack.
Really?
Our next stop was probably Samoa.
Samoa was the next stop.
I got to tack. Don't tack.
We had about 2 inches of freeboard.
That's funny. So, when did you guys first hear about the SCAMP?
At the 2011 Wooden Boat Festival.
Here in
It was on
Port
display,
Townsend.
Yeah.
So tell me about that experience. What did you see
Well,
the SCAMP and you talked to
He wanted to build a boat together, and I said, that sounds great.
Todd did?
I was thinking a nice sloop with a jib, and he said he wanted that boat. I said, that is ugly. We do not want that boat. It's
Okay,
ugly.
so you saw it at the show and said, I'd like that one.
Yeah, and the reason for it is, I had done some camping in my life, and when I met my wife, I found out there's different levels of camping available to people, and I knew if we needed to pick a boat that would be very stable and sturdy out there. So, and that one looked very, very seaworthy. So I knew to build a boat and not have her go on it wouldn't have been a wise decision.
So you told your dad that we need to build this one, and
Yeah.
you said, no way. And so how did you finally concede, Arlie?
I think I was very black and white, but now I'm getting gray areas.
That's
So
kind of the character weakness.
I
isn't
yield
it?
much easier than I used to.
Is that a sign of maturity or character weakness?
I don't think I'll ever mature.
So you decided to go for it, huh?
We did. We figured full speed ahead. And
So what was your next step? So you decided to build. You bought plans at the show, I understand, and then you did a little more research on the
I
boat.
think 2 weeks was all we did.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you decided. Then the next decision was: do I buy the kit that's most of the parts are pre-cut, or do I start from scratch?
No, I think there was no talk about scratch.
Okay,
It was kit.
it was a kit. So
Yeah.
you went and bought the kit, and a couple weeks later, or
I
whenever.
think 2 weeks after
About
we got
2
the
weeks.
plans.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Okay. So did you build it in the shop here, Arlie?
Yeah, in this garage.
Yeah. And so tell me about the building process, some of the high points and low points. And
The jig makes everything fit. So if you build the boat from bottom up on the jig, it all follows form and everything in that CNC kit fit. I was so impressed that there was no changing or altering or modifying it. It fit. And I would say the first day we glued, there's 2 pieces on the bottom. We glued that together over at your house. Then we sanded it. I did all the coats on it. Then we put the sides on, the bottom 2 sides. And then I'd say within a week, we had a boat.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were kind of working on it full time at that point?
No, not really, because you got to wait for the glue to dry.
Oh, okay.
That's a 24-hour operation. I would say we had all 3 sides on within a week. Be my guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this particular boat's got a flat bottom that's pretty wide, and then it's got 3 panels or strakes, if you will, on the side.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think we put the transom and the bow on first,
Oh, okay.
and then the sides.
Then the sides go on.
Yeah.
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 So so you guys got cranking on it pretty quick there.
We started out and we never let up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't do ourselves in. We just stayed at it constant.
Mm-hmm.
And as we said earlier, sanding is the biggest problem. You got to sand. And we tended to overdo on the epoxy, thinking more is better.
Despite multiple warnings.
Yeah.
So was that when, because the whole boat's basically coated with epoxy, like 3 coats. Is that the part where you put too much epoxy on, or
No,
you did the fillets?
The inside we overdid because we ran strips on every piece that came together. It was glued on the outside, but the inside we ran tape, fiberglass tape, and then glassed that.
Okay.
But I don't know if you have to do that. You might ask John Wellsford when you see him. Yeah, I think they just did fillets. But I really liked the glass tape.
Yeah.
I felt more comfortable with it. And it's not that wide.
Yeah. And so some of the pieces have puzzle joints, right?
Yeah, all of them do.
Yeah. So what are those like to work with when you actually get ready to put those together and epoxy them? How does that go?
Don't put them together first and try it because they fit.
And I was surprised when I saw it. It's like that looks kind
You
of
aren't getting them
rinky-dinky,
apart.
but yeah, they're very well designed. Very
So
clever.
you don't want to test fit them.
No.
Because they do fit.
They do
Glue
fit
them first.
Yeah.
And actually, I read that in the manual. Don't put them together dry and then try to take them apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so those, and you don't put any tape over the joint or anything, right?
We did on the inside.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Do they recommend you do that in the manual?
I can't remember. I don't.
But you
I don't think
basically
it's
epoxy
necessary.
the edge of both sides.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary, but we did it.
Yeah. Okay. So, so what was the most difficult part of the building process for you guys? You think?
Rolling the boat over for the mast.
I really don't think there was any difficult part about it. I thought it just went together and fit very well. It's laborious. I mean, you guys do a lot of sanding. And we got all kinds of help when we had to turn it over. And neighbors were helpful. Simeon was very helpful. I don't think there was any major problem.
So, at what point in the building process did you turn the boat over?
Once we had it all glued up and the cabin top on, we then rolled it on pillows, and we had a old futon, one of those folding mattresses. We rolled on there. Once we got that set, we had sawhorses and put it up on sawhorses. And that took about 4 of us to do that. One person was up inside the boat, put the sawhorses where they needed to be. And once we got that done, then you could work on the bottom, and we even painted the bottom. Once that was done, Then we rolled it back over again on the mattresses and pillows, picked it up, put it back on the frame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, do you guys have any idea how many hours you think you put into the build? I know that's always a rough estimate. But
Yeah, because you cheat yourself.
Yeah.
Well, it took a year.
Yeah.
And it was not constant every day, but there was periods of, you might only be able to do one thing for an hour. Because if you had glue setting up, you couldn't touch anything or do it.
And you got to wait till the next day,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
But we didn't overdo ourselves. The hardest part was again sanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think about 10, 20 hours a week for all those weeks? Does that sound about right?
I'd say more than that.
On that?
Yeah, I would say there was times when I was out there 4 or 5 hours a day during the week. He had to work, so I was at the shop.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a hard guess.
Yeah.
I'd say 20 hours a week. That'd be 80 hours a month. 800 hours, 800,000 hours, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Just guessing.
Yeah.
And painting takes time to get the paint mixed and
Yeah.
apply it and clean up. You're always cleaning something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Todd, did you learn any new skills working on the boat?
Just making my own sail.
Okay, so tell me about that process.
Went to the wooden boat school out here at Port Hadlock, which is the wonderful, wonderful organization, and did a sailmaking class. And,
You took the class.
Sean Rankins
Okay.
kind of gave me some guidance there, and did it right on a little Singer sewing machine, and then hand stitched it.
Out at the shop?
No, right here in my living room.
Oh,
Laid it out on my living room, moved all the furniture off in the corners, and
Like a little home sewing machine?
yeah.
Really?
And then I went back and hand sewed everything, but I honestly don't think that was necessary. I think the sewing machine would have handled it. So it was a neat process, and it probably took, I bet, 40 hours, I'm guessing, to get it all stitched up.
He hand sewn all the grommets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I enjoyed that part. I'm a career optician, so I like work with my hands. So
Oh,
the sewing
wow.
I enjoyed, but the handwork I really enjoyed. So
Really?
yeah, it was a neat experience. And then it went out a sail and came back a sail. There was some concern it would come back as a flagpole,
Oh.
fabric flying, but it does pretty good. It does,
Yeah.
for my first sail.
And you
I was real
painted
happy.
it, too.
Yeah, give it a little pizzazz on there.
And so, and what material did you make it out of?
It's Sunforger, which is like a canvas.
It's got UV protection, is that what it is?
I believe it does, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But the reason is I didn't want to, for my first experience, I didn't want to do real high end. I wasn't even convinced it was going to work. But
Yeah.
it came out a little better than expected, actually. So
Yeah. So, that canvas will last a long time, though, right? Or
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I imagine it's going to be around for years and years and years.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
And what did you name the boat, Arlie?
Humu.
Humu. What is that?
Humu, nuka, nuka, pua. It's
I'm not going to try to spell that.
actually it's not that hard. Humu twice and nuka nuka twice and napua. But it's the Hawaiian state fish. And having lived in Hawaii all the years we did, and we liked, I don't know how we picked I guess you picked the fish, and then the colors followed that fish. And
Yeah.
they are the same colors as that fish.
and I think we lived in Hawaii, the family, so many years, and it was such a connection with our life that it just kind of pushed itself forward.
Yeah. So tell me about the first time you guys got the boat out on the water. What was that like?
A kerfuffle.
Yeah, we launched it at Fort
What's that?
Warden.
A kerfuffle?
Yeah.
You know what that is?
No.
Quagmire.
It's an English word. It's kind of everybody has 5 arms and 10 legs,
Oh,
Yeah.
2 heads, and lots of direction from the beach.
We launched out at Fort Warden the first time, and it's a
Bad-
little busy out there.
bad choice.
So it's cozy, and there's a lot of sand.
A lot
on
of
the-
wave action.
Yeah.
and so what happened?
We made it out without any dents, but we got
Yeah.
real close a few times.
We got out just fine. Well, we'd launched boats before, so it was we had a Hobie Cat, and that's quite an experience launching one of those things.
Yeah.
But going out was fine. Getting it back in, we didn't realize the center board was not up all the way. It was down about 3 or 4 inches. and we didn't catch that, so it wasn't on a trailer correctly. And we got help. A couple of people came along and helped us pick it up and get it back on there.
Yeah.
But
Really?
It launching downtown is a piece of cake.
Yeah.
It's got
So the
a nice
launching
ramp.
wasn't too smooth, but when you actually got on the water, what was it like?
Oh, it's fabulous.
Fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Just plain fun.
Yeah. Did you have good wind that day?
I'd say about 10 to 20.
Yeah, that was my
Kicked up a little in the
my
afternoon.
boy's first day sailing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, first time on the water.
And he wouldn't let go of the tiller.
Yeah, he got it the whole time. Yeah, I guess apparently he likes to sail.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the boat like to sail? Just to kind of describe it to me, as far as stability, speed, maneuverability, all that stuff, safety.
Yeah, turns on a dime. Very, very stable. Easy, simple, fun, joyous. Just a really nice little boat to be on the water with.
We avoid heavy heels.
Yeah.
The old saying in Hawaii, you're not sailing this water's over the rail. Well, we don't do that here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then speed, probably 5, maybe 6 knots.
It's surprising how fast it does go.
Yeah.
And I got my answer mentioned earlier that we actually passed a bigger boat. And if you go speed hull length waterline, we're in speeds that we shouldn't be in for that size boat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
It was plane or something.
it's a planing hull.
Yeah.
We're close
Yeah.
to it, probably.
So.
Yeah.
Have you been out in any rough water with the boat?
Yeah, it got a little choppy out off Point Hudson,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
no fear. I mean,
Yeah.
we carry all the safety gear with us, life jackets and
Yeah.
everything. But no
Does the
fear.
boat stay pretty dry inside?
We haven't got any water on board other than a little bit through that centerboard hole, and we've blocked that off now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as spray coming over the boat or anything
No,
like
none
that?
at all.
Really?
Actually.
Because it's got a lot of freeboard, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They got a pretty good sized cabin on it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It blocks everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you know how much the boat weighs, the finished boat?
Yeah, but I can't remember. Is it 300 pounds?
That sounds about right. 350, I think we calculated.
About 350, 380.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not in a trailer properly, you can move it
Yeah.
to get it on there
Oh,
correctly.
really?
2 people can
Yeah.
manhandle it onto the
Yeah.
trailer
Yeah.
if need be.
Yeah. And you figure the finished boat cost you around $7,000, maybe a little more, a little less.
That was a question for you, Betty.
Whenever they needed money, it was, honey, write a check.
That's our accountant.
The accounting department chimes in, huh?
Well, and the checkbook didn't go boing.
Yeah, okay. As long as there was money in the account, you were still working on it.
I think about 7, and that counts all the paint. We use the best of paint.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, but we got the best. The motor, the trailer, and the batteries.
Yeah, so now tell me about the motor. What'd you do for that?
We did a little research on that, and we've got a saltwater Mini Coda, and I think it's 55 pounds of thrust. It's all the power we have needed.
It's an electric motor.
It's electric. It's 12 volt, and you can use it in salt or fresh water. You could probably get by with a freshwater motor and just clean it real good every time it came in. And it might be a little cheaper.
Yeah.
But again, we didn't go cheap there. You're buying a boat, you might as well get the best.
Now, do you leave the motor on the transom when you're sailing, or you stow it in the boat?
Yeah, we leave it on the back.
Oh, you leave it on the back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just tilts up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't really get in the way of anything, huh?
And so far.
Yeah.
You do have to, it's on a mount. You've got to turn the throttle arm to the port side. I found that out.
Oh, okay.
It gets in the way of things if you turn inboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You learn as you go.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is, we just leave it down there when we're traveling on sail. And there's not much drag. When you need it, you've got it.
Yeah. And with that, with just using the motor, you could probably cruise at, 2 or 3 or 4 knots? Or?
Oh, I think we're faster than that.
Probably about 4.
Yeah.
I was
About 4
surprised
knots.
that as small as
Yeah.
that motor is, how it puts you right along.
Yeah.
I'm amazed.
And you guys were telling me about the battery system earlier, what you did something there a little bit different rather than use deep cycle batteries.
We went with AGM, which are enclosed batteries, and they don't produce any hydrogen gas, which you have a problem with deep cycle, and especially being around salt water. You want to be real careful around saltwater batteries. And they're pricey, but we thought safety was the main factor, so we went with them. Mm-hmm. You have to have a special charger for AGM batteries. And they're available we got ours at Walmart for $55.
The batteries?
No, the charger.
Oh, the charger, okay.
Went online, it just showed up after about a week and didn't have to go anywhere to get it.
Wow, nice.
And we charge them once a month.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's AGM stand for? Is it argon gas?
No.
No.
I can't remember what the letters stand for. I knew a year ago.
Yeah.
Brain doesn't work as fast as it used to. But they are a special battery just for these things like this, or RVs, or
okay.
something
where you don't want any gas.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And especially in enclosed space, and of course, once you put that door back on, the cover, it's enclosed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't want any gases down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you might be able to get by if you had them, say, the batteries in the cabin raised up where they had air around them. But I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'd leave them. I like what we have.
We have the batteries. We're using them as ballast instead of water ballast, so we want a lower center of gravity.
Yeah.
That's why they are where they are.
So, Todd, if you were going to build this boat again, would you do anything differently?
Absolutely not. I would love to build another one and paint it like the fugu fish. I think that's the Japanese box fish. I would love to do that, but that's I guess I'm the artist of the family where he's the craftsman.
Yeah. How about you, Arlie? Would you do anything different?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
I would get the kit. I would staple it.
Oh, okay. You were saying that earlier.
Instead of using safety wire like we did, I would staple it.
We're talking about when you're joining the panels on the side together, you guys wired them together after
we did what they call stitch and glue.
Stitch and glue.
I wouldn't do that.
But you can do it with staples if you got the right staplers.
Yeah, it'd be worth the extra money. I don't think they're even very expensive.
I wonder how far apart Scott put the staples when he
I'm going to guess about 8 inches.
About 8 inches. Yeah. Okay. So you don't need a lot of them, really.
No.
But it's really fast.
Well, yeah, and the glue is holding it for one thing.
Yeah.
And once you get the bow and the stern, they pretty much are tight in there. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of come along and reassuring it's a closed gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So, Todd, what would you say to somebody that's looking at possibly building a SCAMP? What would you say to them?
Great family boat. It's, if you've got kids, it's just a very stable, secure, fun, easy project to do. It's as much fun building, I think, as going out doing it. So
how many people can you get in there comfortably?
4 easy. We get 4 people, no problem. And I bet if you had somebody visiting up here, I bet you could get a 5th person up in the cabin somewhat uncomfortably, but it's a very comfortable boat. It's just so beamy. Mm-hmm. It sits so flat on the water.
It feels real safe.
Yeah, very sturdy little. Yeah. Very sturdy.
How about for you, Arlie? What would you say to somebody looking at a SCAMP?
I think it's the way to go. I'm amazed that there's over 200 out there in a matter of a year and a half, 2 years, I guess. And they're all over the world. I don't know of any other boat that has been accepted as well as this boat. Mm-hmm. It just shocks me, actually.
Mm-hmm. And it's a nice part. There's a very unique boating community in the town here, and the SCAMP is just part of that. It's just it's a neat experience.
Yeah,
so need to be part of it. Actually,
it's kind of fun to be part of that birthing process of this new boat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and you look on they've got a website for it, and there's all these comments. In fact, I saw a comment that I thought was really funny. It may have come from John Wellsford. He said, "I've watched the alterations to the boat to the point where it's back to the original boat."
It's come full circle. Yeah. Very cool. Well, you did a great job. It's a beautiful boat.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And I like John Wellsford has allowed people to make modifications. He's never interfered. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just a really, really fine person.
Yeah.
If you want to make mods,
Did he pay you to say that, Arlie?
no,
He's a
no,
neat guy.
no.
He really is.
He's always welcome at our house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, John is a cool guy.
Yeah.
So.
And Howard Rice too.
Mm.
And he's at. In fact, I get a kick out of Howard Rice. He's down in. He calls it Ponape. I think.
Yeah, Ponape.
I've been there.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I've been to Ponape, and one day when we first met, I said, "They still got the village down there." He said, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Well, I used to go there."
Oh, that's fun.
They're both. They're a team.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah, I know.
And I think, and they're so open and welcome all inputs and contribute so much. They probably make the boat as much as a, it's almost a cult actually.
Yeah, I know.
Community.
Yeah.
The boat community.
Well, they're starting this program now where you can build a SCAMP online. I don't know if you knew that through the Smalls. What is it called? The SCSA, Small Craft Skills Academy. They're setting up a program where they ship you a camera, a web camera, and then you get your kit, and then everybody goes online and they talk to you and work you through the process of building a SCAMP, so you can do it from wherever you're at.
Yeah.
Well, I think this school down here, and also in Michigan, that's amazing. You can get your boat, and you can get as far as you can in a week or week and a half, and then you can put it on a trailer and drive away with it. And these things, one went from here to Fort Ord to Oklahoma.
Really?
Yeah, the guy bought it and I talked to him. I think it was Oklahoma he took it. And it just, as I say, it's amazing to me that this boat has caught on like that.
Yeah. Well, I met a guy from Germany that was at the SCAMP camp last August who was shipping his over to Germany, and he was going to finish it there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's gotten really popular.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time today, guys. It's been fun sitting here chatting about boats and stuff. And anything else you'd like to say to the audience today?
I just think
Great boat. Highly recommended.
Yep. And we are not getting paid.
This is not a paid advertisement.
No.
Okay. Very cool. Thanks for your time today, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks so much, Todd and Arlie, for taking the time to give me a tour of your boat and to give me the lowdown and to show me all the cool stuff you're doing. And it was fun, too, to see your little model engines, Arlie. I've actually included one in the podcast show notes, which just a reminder that if you're listening to this audio podcast, you can also go to my website, hookedonwoodenboats.com. And I've written up a little blog post about this podcast episode, and I've got photographs on there. And I do that every week on Thursday when I publish the podcast, so it's kind of a fun way to connect there. Okay, I'd love it if you would connect with me via email, dan@hookedonwoodenboats.com. Subscribe to my e-newsletter. You can leave comments on my website under the podcast show notes. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and YouTube if you search for Wooden Boat Dan. And I've got about 4 or 5 videos up on YouTube now, so I'd recommend you check it out. You can go to youtube.com/woodenboatdan and check out the videos I have there. Kind of an amateur video guy, but I'm trying to improve and make them fun, keep them short, having some fun with it. So that's pretty cool. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, you can do that in iTunes, among other places, and you'll automatically get an update on your mobile device or on your computer when a new episode is available for listening. If you go to the iTunes store, to the podcast section, search for Hooked on Wooden Boats, you can subscribe there. And while you're there, if you would leave a review for the podcast, I would appreciate it. If you really enjoy it, I'd love it if you gave me a 5-star review. If there's ways you think I can improve it, leave some comments there and leave an appropriate review. I would really appreciate it. Also, if you'd like to help support the podcast, on my website, I've got some banners to the right side for various stores, Amazon, Jamestown Distributors, West Marine. If you click on those banners and make a purchase at those stores, I get paid a small commission, which helps pay for the cost of fuel and things like that. Also on my site, there's a tab at the top at the menu, on the menu items, it says HOWB gear. I think that's what it says. If you go there, you can buy t-shirts, hats, mugs, coffee cups, bumper stickers, stuff like that with a Hooked on Wooden Boats logo, so that's pretty fun. Well, thanks for tuning in today, folks. If you're just getting your toes wet with the wooden boat thing, I'd recommend you dive in head first, get fully immersed in it. It's really a fun thing to do, and have some fun with wooden boats like old Wooden Boat Dan does. Anyway, have a great week. Keep the bright side up and the barnacled side down. Wooden Boat Dan over and out. God bless.